So now we're going to talk about terminology a little bit more, and we've already covered semantic HTML and structure versus layout and document object model. I thought that I'd just introduce them in the preview and then cover them here, but I ended up pretty much explaining them in the preview. So those are done. Document flow here, I just grabbed a couple of articles, resources, quotes, and dropped them in there because document flow is one of those things that sometimes confuses people and they need a little bit more information. So if you need a little bit more information on document flow, you could read this stuff right here. Just pause the video and read it. And yeah, it's pretty much this stuff right here, how it all stacks and lines up on the page. So the main thing I want to look at in here in this video are these three things right there, okay? So content sectioning, this is the first thing we're going to look at, so we'll just go to this link right here. And HTML element reference. This page lists all of the HTML elements. Whoa, we've already seen this, I think. They are grouped by function to help you find what you have in mind easily. Although this guide is written for those who are newer to coding, we intend it to be useful for anyone. So you can scroll down here and you can see, different areas. So here's content sectioning, address, article, aside, footer, header, H1 through H6, nav, H group, right? So those are different HTML elements, tags, tomato, whatever you want to call it. Those are different HTML elements for sectioning content. So in this section, I'm going to have my header. In this section, I'll have my footer. In this section is the main part, and we'll have an article, and that article is going to have sections. So that's that's how we do content sectioning. And this is just a really useful page. Text content, right? So here's stuff you could use with text content. Inline text semantics, right? So site, code, different tags for that. So you can just scroll through here and sort of see, where do I use the different tags. So I want to look at one of these tags, and I think we'll go with article. And so when I come to the article deal here, right, there's the description. There are usage notes. So I just want to teach you a little bit about reading documentation. Read the description. Read the usage notes. It's going to give you good information. Like often I'm pulling things out of the usage notes and pointing them out to you. And we're going to be doing that in this series of videos talking about structuring documents. And then this gray area right here. Like it's easy to gloss this over, right? They're just like, okay, that looks technical. Give me the examples. And they don't stop to read it. And then if they look at it, it's like permitted content, flow content. I don't know what that means. Content categories, flow content. I don't know what that means. Tag emish. But this stuff is really important. And so that's the next thing I want to teach you. Content categories. And so if we click on this, content categories, we see this weird map. And if we click on it right here, like content categories, there's that same weird map. And if we click on flow content, right? Well, that's that same page with the same weird map, but it took us to flow content. So what is this weird map and what's it do? Because you'll see like people when they give presentations about building web pages, they'll bring up this weird map sometimes. This is like a Venn diagram, things overlapping. I'm calling it a map, but it's a Venn diagram. And so here, each HTML element must abide by rules defining what kind of content it can have. These rules are grouped into content models common to several elements. Each HTML element belongs to 0, interesting, 1 or multiple content models, each setting rules that the element's content must follow in an HTML conformant document. Okay, right? Technical. That's the comp sci engineering side. So what does that mean? Right here we have the article, and the article is a member of content categories: flow content, sectioning content, palpable content. Well, here we have flow content, which is basically this big outer circle, and we have sectioning. So the article tag is a member of the flow and sectioning, and these are just different ways to categorize elements. All right, cool. All right, you're a member of those two clubs. I get that. I can take that. I understand it. And then permitted content. So inside an article tag, what can we put inside an article tag? This is really important and really helpful because people get confused and they're like, I don't know what you could put inside this tag. This is where you find out, and this is how you find out. So inside an article tag, we're looking at an article tag. This is the content that's permitted. This is what you could put inside an article tag between the two articles, the opening article and the closing article. You could put flow content. Well, what is flow content? Right here is flow content, and it is all of these tags right here. So can I put a video inside an article tag? Yes, because right here, a video is flow content, and an article tag, some of the permitted content, is anything that's a member of the flow content club. So that's how you read that. And a lot of people, most people, they don't figure that out. And then they go to a conference and they see this weird map and they're like, I don't know what the hell that means. I've been building websites 6 years and I'm like, I don't know what the hell that means. So now you do. And don't just gloss over like usage notes. Read it. And don't just gloss over this gray area. This gray area and permitted content, that's super important. That'll be really helpful to you in figuring out what can go inside between certain tags. For instance, let's just go look at an ordered list. So OL, man, there's a whole lot of them. Here's a column. Here is OL. So we're OL, permitted content, 0 or more LI elements. That's it. That's all you could put inside an ordered list, LI elements. You could put none in there or you could put some in there, but that's it. You can't put anything else inside an ordered list. So that's the documentation. That's the definition. That's what they say you can do with it. And that's the source. Because when you go read people's articles, those articles will be wrong. And you'll be like, really? Can you do that with it? And now you know how to come back to the documentation and find out definitively, specifically, for sure, like with certainty, like this is what you can do with it. Because here's the horse's mouth. And that's a phrase in English. I don't know what language is your native language, but like if I got it straight from the horse's mouth for whatever reason that means, it's like, oh, I got it from the source. I don't know where that phrase came from. All right, so that's content sectioning, right? Where it's just this big list of all of HTML elements broken up by, different like content categories. And then that's content categories here. So last thing we're going to talk about is the HTML5 outline algorithm. So as you start looking into structuring HTML documents, you're going to run across stuff that's like the HTML5 outline algorithm. And for instance, here is an article from HTML5 Doctor talking about the HTML5 outline algorithm. And here's like a plugin for Google Chrome that allows you to go to any website. So I don't know, I'll go to Reddit. And then it shows you the outline. That's not a very good outline. What about if I went to like our favorite, NYT? And then if I outline this, ooh, they got a pretty good one, right? But here's an outline. And this, you think, well, hell, I better learn about this HTML5, outline algorithm so that I could build good web pages. But eventually, when you start learning about it, this is what you'll discover. Don't use it. Like, there are currently no known implementations of the outline algorithm in graphical browsers or assistive technology. So basically, nobody's using it. So even though it was part of the specification, nobody implemented it. So don't use the outline algorithm. And they didn't implement it because it's like crazy complex. Instead, use headings, H1 through H6. And that's how you'll structure the outline or the importance of the topics in your document. And we're going to see how to do that in this series of videos where we're learning about structuring documents. All right, so that is a little bit of terminology. I'm going to do a little bit of a review here because that was actually quite a lot of stuff I just talked about. And the first thing, we already learned all this stuff up here. And then the next thing is content sectioning. It just lists all the HTML elements by like, hey, here's how you could do content sectioning. Here's for content, text content, right? And then the next thing was there's this weird map content category. So every element is a member of none or some of these. And so, and then when you go and you look at documentation, you can see here, okay, it tells you what can go inside this element, right? And it will often reference the content categories. So, that's it. And then we learned about the HTML5 outline. I don't know why it took me so long to talk about all that. But then we learned about the HTML5 outline algorithm. And that algorithm, don't use it. When you come across it, when you read articles about it, just say, that's that thing you're not supposed to use. So don't be confused by it. And the true way to outline your document is H1 through H6. So just like here, like if I was using numbers, this would be a 1, 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 like H1, H1, H1. This would be H1, this would be H1, H2, 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 and this would be like H3, H3, and then just text, and then H2, right? So heading levels are how I structure the importance and signal to a search engine. This is an H1, it's super important. This is a subheading, it's an H2. So that's how you outline your document. And that type of outlining your document is different than the HTML5 outline algorithm. So don't use the outline algorithm, but do outline your document using headings. So those are two different things. I hope you got that. We're going to see it in action throughout the rest of this section. All right, so that's some terminology with which you need to be acquainted to truly kick ass building websites. Excuse my language.